The armory was quiet. No voices, no footsteps, just the steady rhythm of a cleaning cloth sliding across cold steel. Staff Sergeant Elena Ward sat alone at the workbench. Her hands were calm, precise, each motion deliberate. She wasn't rushing. She never rushed. In front of her lay the rifle that had become more than a weapon, the .338 Lapua Magnum, matte black finish, long barrel glinting under the dim light. A scope so powerful it could make distant shadows feel like they were standing in front of you. To most soldiers, it was just a sniper rifle. To Elena, it was a lifeline, a memory, a companion that had whispered in her hands through countless missions. The room smelled of oil and gunmetal. She worked quietly, running a brush through the bore, polishing every piece as if caring for something sacred. Her uniform sleeves were rolled up. Scars ran faintly along her forearms, scars that spoke of deserts, jungles, rooftops, and nights, where silence decided survival. She hummed softly under her breath. Not a tune anyone would recognize, just a rhythm to keep her hands steady. To an outsider, she looked ordinary. Just another soldier doing maintenance. But Elena Ward was anything but ordinary. The heavy door creaked open. Bootsteps echoed across the concrete floor. Someone entered. Not a soldier from her unit, but someone whose presence demanded silence. The air shifted. Conversations in nearby halls died down. Even the faint humming of machines seemed to fade. It was General Marcus Hale, decorated, stern, a man who had commanded battalions across continents. The kind of leader who rarely walked into an armory without a purpose. He stopped a few feet away, watching. At first, Elena didn't look up. She finished wiping down the bolt, slid it into place with a soft metallic click, and only then acknowledged. "Him, sir," she said evenly. Her voice was steady. No nerves, just respect. The general studied her rifle, then her hands, finally her eyes. "Ward," he said slowly, "you keep that rifle cleaner than most keep their uniforms." She gave a faint smile. "With respect, sir, my rifle saves lives. My uniform just identifies the body if it doesn't." The words hung in the air like a blade. No arrogance, no humor, just truth. The general's face remained unreadable, but something flickered in his eyes. He opened a folder he carried under. His arm, papers, reports, records. As he flipped through, the dim light caught glimpses of numbers. Confirmed eliminations, mission logs, distances measured in kilometers. He paused. His eyes stopped, fixed on one line, and for the first time in his long career, a chill slid down his spine. The kill record. Line after line, mission after mission. Targets neutralized at ranges other snipers wouldn't even attempt. Operations saved because one bullet had shifted the course of battle. The total number was almost unreal. Not just impressive, terrifying. He looked back at Elena, at the calm soldier cleaning her weapon as if it were nothing more than routine. And in that moment, the general, a man who had seen war in every form, froze. Because he realized something most would never dare to admit. In front of him sat not just a sniper, not just a soldier, but a living weapon, a ghost who could decide wars without anyone even knowing her name. And she carried that power with the same casual calm as polishing steel in an empty room. The folder in the general's hands felt heavier with every page. It wasn't paper anymore. It was lives, hundreds of them. He closed it slowly. Silence stretched across the armory, broken only by the faint ticking of a wall clock. Finally, he spoke. "Ward, do you know what this record says?" Elena didn't flinch. Her hands kept moving, adjusting the bipod on her rifle. "Yes, sir, it says I did my job." But the general shook his head. "No, it says you've done the impossible." He laid the folder on the workbench. Pages spilled open, filled with red-stamped mission briefs, Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria. Operations so classified, most soldiers never heard their names. Every one of them had a common thread, a single shot that turned the tide. A bullet from her rifle, a choice made in silence far away from the chaos it prevented. The general's eyes narrowed. 1,317 confirmed eliminations. The words dropped like stones in water. Each digit rippled through the air. "Do you realize what that number means?" Elena's cloth stilled against the rifle. For the first time, her gaze lifted. Her eyes were sharp, grey steel under dim light. "Yes, sir. It means I'm still alive. And so are the men I was covering." Hale studied her. There was no pride in her voice. No boast, just fact. But that made it heavier. Because soldiers who bragged were dangerous. Yet soldiers who carried numbers like that in silence, they were something else entirely. He leaned closer. "Some of these shots, Ward, they're beyond doctrine, beyond probability. 2 kilometers uphill in wind shear, another through a sandstorm where visibility was 0. Elena exhaled slowly. Her hands resumed polishing. "With respect, sir, conditions don't matter when lives are on the line. You don't ask the wind for permission to protect your unit." Her words cut through the room. Simple, sharp, unyielding. The general felt something unfamiliar stir in his chest. Not fear, not exactly. Something between awe and unease. Because the more she spoke, the clearer it became. Elena Ward didn't operate by the same rules as others. Where most soldiers saw obstacles, she saw calculations. Where others saw limits, she saw possibilities, and that was what made her so lethal. He flipped to another page. Operation Iron Dusk, a mission scrubbed from public record. "Ward, this op," he pressed. "An entire convoy walked away because of a single bullet. From you. Do you even remember it?" Eleanor's jaw tightened. "I remember every shot, sir." Her voice softened. "The men in that convoy had families, kids waiting at home. I didn't pull a trigger that day." I stopped. "A funeral." The general went quiet. For all his years commanding warfighters, he had rarely heard someone strip war of its noise so simply. For Elena, it wasn't about medals or reports. It was about graves unfilled, letters never written, lives uninterrupted. But he also saw the other truth in her eyes. Every shot carried a ghost, and Elena Ward carried an army of them on her back. He finally asked the question that had been burning in his mind. "How do you live with it?" Elena set the rifle down gently. For a moment, her hands rested on the weapon like one might rest hands on a gravestone. "I don't," she whispered. "I carry it." Her gaze was distant now. "Every shot I took, I hear it at night. Every target that fell, I see them in dreams. But I also see the soldiers who walked away because of it. And between the two, sir, I chose the weight I could bear." The general froze again. Because in that answer, he understood. Elena Ward wasn't just a sniper with a record that shattered. Belief. She was a soldier who had traded pieces of herself so others could remain whole. A guardian hidden in shadows, unseen, unthanked, yet carrying scars deeper than any medal could honor. And that realization made even a decorated general feel small. The general's question still hung in the air, but Elena didn't answer, not with words. Instead, her eyes drifted back to a desert valley where the wind screamed through canyons like a warning. Flashback, 2 years earlier, the night was bone cold. Stars stretched across the sky like shards of glass. Eleanor lay prone on a rocky ridge, her body pressed into the dirt. Her hands wrapped around the .338 Lapua, barrel extended over the edge. Below her, chaos. An Allied convoy crawled through a narrow pass. Dozens of trucks, headlights dimmed, engines growling against the climb. Inside those trucks were soldiers, supplies, ammunition that a front line depended on, and hunting them was death. Across the valley, barely visible in the moonlight, enemy spotters tracked their movement. A mortar team was setting up, 2 men already loading rounds. If they fired, the convoy would be torn apart in minutes. Her spotter's voice hissed in her earpiece. "Range, 2,300 meters. Wind, hell, it's shifting. Like crazy." Elena adjusted the scope, fingers steady. Her breath slowed. Her heart rate dropped, trained to fall calm when others panicked. The wind tore across the valley, unpredictable. Too far, too unstable. Most snipers wouldn't even try. But Eleanor Ward didn't deal in most. She whispered, almost to herself, "1 shot. Her finger rested on the trigger. She inhaled once, exhaled, held the breath in her chest until time itself seemed to pause. Through her scope she saw them clearly, the glint of metal on the mortar, the movement of hands loading around, a commander giving orders, confident that his weapon would rain death within seconds. She calculated. Everything. Wind drift, bullet drop, humidity, even the curvature of the earth. Numbers raced through her head faster than words could form. Then she pressed. The rifle roared like thunder. Muzzle flash split the night. And the bullet flew. Invisible, silent, carrying the weight of lives across 2.5 kilometers. Seconds passed, longer than they should, long enough to wonder if even she had missed. Then, impact. The enemy commander collapsed before he even realized what had happened. The mortar round slipped from stunned hands, rolling harmlessly into dirt. Panic tore through their ranks. One by one they scattered, looking into the darkness, never knowing where death had come from. The convoy below kept moving, unaware of how close it had been to annihilation. Her spotter exhaled hard. Jesus Christ, Ward. That was impossible. But Elena didn't celebrate, didn't smile. She simply chambered another round, her eyes still on the valley, because she knew war didn't end with one bullet, and every shot carried a shadow. Back in the armory, the flashback dissolved, and Elena's gaze focused again on the general. Her rifle rested clean on the bench, silent. Her voice was low but firm. That's how my record was written, sir, not from luck, not from chance, from nights like that, when one shot meant the difference between a convoy making it home or an entire unit being buried. The general didn't speak. Couldn't. His throat was tight, his chest heavy, because he realized she wasn't exaggerating. Her file wasn't numbers. It was graves undug, mothers not widowed, children not orphaned. And yet Elena carried them all as if they were ghosts walking beside her. He finally said it aloud. Ward, with shots like those, you don't just fight wars, you shape them. But Elena only shook her head. I don't shape wars, sir. I just make sure fewer names end up carved in stone. The armory lights flickered faintly overhead, humming with the low buzz of electricity. The general stood frozen. In place, folder pressed shut against his chest. His eyes traced Elena Ward, the calmness in her stance, the steadiness in her breathing. She wasn't showing it, but he could feel it. This soldier wasn't ordinary. She was carrying ghosts, an army of them. He finally broke the silence. Ward, do you have any idea what you've become? Her reply came quick, without hesitation. Yes, sir. A sniper. That's all I've ever been. But Hale's voice grew heavier. No. You're more than that. You're a force the battlefield itself bends around. Armies move differently because of you. I move differently. Because of you. He set the folder down hard on the workbench. The sound echoed across the room like a gunshot. The pages inside it seemed alive. Mission logs stamped classified, photographs blurred to hide the truth, kill counts so large they looked unreal. He tapped it with a finger. Do you know what this record is, Ward? This isn't just paper. This is a history book written in silence, written by you. Elena didn't flinch. She slowly set her rifle down, resting her palms against the steel bench. Her eyes softened. Her voice low. Sir, this record, it's not victories, it's weight. Every page is a name I erased. Every mission is a night I can't forget. And every number is a face I'll never stop seeing. The general felt something inside him twist. He had led men into fire. He had signed orders that cost lives. But hearing her strip away the glamour of war, it hit him harder than any battlefield ever had. He leaned forward. Then why do it? Why carry this weight? You could have walked away years ago. Helena's gaze didn't waver. Because someone had to. Because the moment I pulled the trigger, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about convoys that kept moving. About soldiers who got to call home again. About kids who never had to hear. The word orphan. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes never broke. I chose to carry the ghosts, so others didn't have to. The general swallowed hard. For the first time in his long career, he felt small. decorations on his chest suddenly felt meaningless compared to the quiet strength standing before him. He straightened, then did something he had never done in private. He raised his hand and delivered a slow, firm salute, not as a superior, not as a general, but as a man acknowledging another whose sacrifices surpassed his own. The salute hung in the air, heavy and pure. Elena didn't move at first. Her eyes flickered just for a moment, betraying the storm inside her. Then finally she gave the slightest nod, a silent acknowledgement, and that was enough. Later, that night Elena walked alone across the empty base. The sky was heavy with clouds, the smell of rain sharp in the air. Every step echoed softly against the pavement. She passed barracks where laughter spilled through windows. Young soldiers, new, unscarred, still untouched by war. They didn't know her story, they didn't need to. That was the point. She paused near the edge of the tarmac. Beyond it, aircraft waited like shadows in the night. She tilted her head back, staring at the vast dark sky. Every mission, every shot, every ghost. They were still there with her, and maybe they always would be. But so were the lives she'd protected, the soldiers who'd made it home, the families who never had to grieve, and in that balance Elena found her answer. Her voice, soft and steady, broke the silence. I don't need statues. I don't need medals. All I need is to know I carried the weight, and the world never even saw it. The words faded into the wind, simple, honest, final. Epilogue. At sunrise the base stirred awake. Engines roared. Soldiers marched. Life went on. No one mentioned the woman who had shaped wars without ever stepping into the spotlight. No one spoke her name at roll call or in history books. But those who knew, those who had seen her record, would never forget. Not the silence, not the weight, not the ghosts she carried so others wouldn't have to.